Ladies and gentlemen, Morgana's the name, and Gothic 3 is the current game. Let's ignore that. So, hang on, my volume's a bit too loud. Yeah, last time we took care of the bandits way down yonder. And we did get our reward from Buford for completing it. But there's more to it. Iomar wanted his lamp oil back, so we must return it to him.
Ortega, the boss of the bandits, is dead.
Is he really? Now that's good news for a change. The orcs are bad enough already. Why do we have to have bandits too?
Here's your lamp oil back.
Really? Thank you, stranger. I will always remember your kindness. Take this as a reward for your selfless deed. I will immediately head for Ardea before they steal my oil once again.
Cool. So he heads to Ardea, and he actually just becomes a merchant there. We can even trade with him now, even though he doesn't really have any goods on him. Or at least he shouldn't, because all his stuff got stoled. We don't need that anymore. Actually, I was going to head straight to Montera, but now that I think about it, I do want to wrap up a bit more business in Ardea. Be at the ready, there might be a fight again. I think like 2 or 3 times it will spawn orcs in Ardea. But I don't know how long the cooldown really is. I'm surprised they don't clean up the bodies. So for some reason you get thieving skill bonus when you help Iomar. I'm not really sure why that is. Blacksmith, as usual, doesn't really have anything good. The primary difference in this game between bows and crossbows is that bows, you don't have to hold down left click, so they are somewhat more comfortable to aim. But they also tend to have further range, but that does also depend on your skill. But they're still not as useful by comparison as they are in Risen, where you can actually fire them from the hip as long as you're not aiming. And if you know what you're doing, that can actually be just as viable while still allowing you to retreat at full speed. Anyway. Over here is Jack the Lighthouse Guard. And ladies and gentlemen, it has come full circle. We have finally met every single Jack in every Piranha Bytes games on my videos. The first one we met, would it have been, what should have been the one in Risen. I think I got to him first before I started doing Risen 2, but I honestly can't really remember. And then in Risen 2, of course, we met him on Tacarigua. And then in Gothic 2, we met him at in Corinus, of course. And now here's the final one.
Ahoy, matey!
And he's easily the worst.
Adventure.
Nice tower you've got here.
Aye, it's just right for an old salty dog like me. But it's a dangerous neighborhood, I tell ya. These bilge rats are everywhere. They don't give an old sea dog a moment's peace.
What bilge rats would those be?
They're roaming the entire coast. Just walk up the coast a little ways to the northeast. They set up camp there, and they can't wait to cut my throat while I sleep.
I'll take care of your bilge rats.
You know, matey, I've no idea how I could ever make that up to you.
Try and think of something.
You take care of yourself, will ya? Those scoundrels are dangerous.
I heard you took gold from the rebels.
Yes, I think I can trust you with this. They were here and asked me to let them know as soon as I see another ship. I think they're still hopeful that help will come from the sea someday.
Give me the rebels' gold.
Yes, all right. What's an old sailor to do with that much gold? But promise me you won't squander it.
I promise.
Have you seen any orcs?
Heaven forbid. I hope they have better things to do than scare an old man.
Fair enough. So he actually has a lot more gold than he lets on, but that's only in his merchant inventory. So getting the gold from him turned out a lot easier than you might normally expect. Do I want that? I may hang on to it. It's not that useful, but I don't think I really have many other rings at the moment. I don't need knives. Actually, yeah, I think we do at some point. Don't need brooms, though. Alright, so. Yeah, getting the gold from him is pretty easy. If you get it before you do the bilge rats quest, it makes no difference. His reward for that quest is exactly the same. And he doesn't really have a problem you robbing him, it seems. A lot of sword blanks. I don't know, that's kind of one of the weird things about this game. Unless you're in a location that you are genuinely not supposed to be, the guys won't actually come and keep an eye on you the way they do in Risen and Risen 2. Just to make sure that you're not stealing anything. They'll just kind of wait outside and they'll stare in your direction, but if there's a wall in the way, then they won't see anything you're doing. So you can just rob them with wild abandon. I hate blood flies in this game. Problem is, Jack will not actually help you if you're getting a fight. See, now he's just applauding me. He's a prick. Okay, so the bilge rats he's talking about. In the unmodded game, they were literally just called bilge rats, and they are actually just bandits. But this one has repurposed them to make them a bit more interesting. And we're about to see. They are also pretty tough, though. There's Korg's bodyguard. Who the hell is Korg? Well, there's pirate trader Korg. And then there's Ortega's middleman. They just seem to be camping out. Very interesting. I don't know why they're just camping out. What's really supposed to be happening that we're about to see is that they're trying to make a deal. I don't really remember what they're trying to deal. But this should probably be the easiest way to deal with them. Don't know if it's going to kill them, but it will certainly be a big help. Oh, well, I got Korg. Don't know why he was the weakest. And that guy's dead. Alright, Korg's bodyguard. You can see why he needed you. He was a wimp compared to the two of yous. And stab. Eh, that worked out much more nicely than I'm used to. Ortega's middleman, eh? Ooh, he's got decent stuff. He's got a message, though. Tomorrow the guys will be back again. I want to see you at the arranged meeting point. Take the stuff from the second chest and bargain a good price for it. No more than 600 golds per item. I don't want to catch sight of you again. The way they wrote that is kind of weird. I think what he's basically saying is if he doesn't get more than 600 golds per item, then Ortega won't be happy with him. Alright, yeah, so that's that. And Korg here has something else. He's got a nice artifact, a decent artifact, and another letter. I daren't win trouble again. I'm not actually going to read it that way, don't worry. Last shore leave you have smashest Ortega's bloke his gob pretty bad. Fortunately, Ortega didn't like him neither, otherwise we had to look for another middleman. Ah, that's annoying. It's supposed to be a joke saying that the pirate leader's a grammar Nazi in spite of the fact that he can't spell to save his life.
Broken.
Of course it did. And, ooh, got our spell scroll back, +1. That's helpful. Right, loads of plants kind of on the fields of Montera to keep an eye out for. Now, I've been thinking lately. Oh, we can actually see the barrier from here. But the rest of the draw distance is not that good. I've been thinking lately about how the level design, or not really the level design, just the landscape design in Risen 2 compared to previous games. And in reality, I'd say it's kind of tubular designed. The way it just kind of had pathways through mountains that were very linear in nature wasn't that much different than the bulk of some of Gothic and Gothic 2. Yeah, I guess it was. It was definitely a lot more linear. And, you know, it was just a huge problem that they just put so many mountains. But, especially when you compare it to this game and the first Risen, you realize that this is so much more open. Even just disregarding size. I mean, look, there's just... you don't even really see any mountains from here. Whereas in Risen, there was nothing but mountains. You couldn't get away from them. Or Risen 2, I mean. And it's just a huge pain in the ass. It's just... it's not an open world RPG anymore. It's a very... you know, very strict pathways. Sure, you can choose which pathway you go, but at that point it's just starting to feel like a BioWare game to me, which is definitely something I think is a flaw in their formula. But, I don't know. The first glimpses we have of Risen 3 are starting to look the same. I've talked about all this in my Risen 3 video, so you guys can go watch that if you want to hear more of my thoughts about it. Alright, brother.
The bilge rats will never bother you again.
I knew you'd help me out, matey. I don't have a whole lot I can give you, but take this as a reward. Keep your chin up.
I shall. Okay, that's it. There is a lot we could actually do on the plains here, but I don't really want to do them yet because they're just kind of annoying. We should actually put on the amulet, though. Or do I want to? It would give me a 115 strength, but I don't think that's actually all that useful. We'll put that one on, though. Not that I think it really helps much. Anyway. We could go to Reddick. There's a bit of a shortcut, but I don't think it really is substantially shorter. And held it. Every second counts. You can actually build up money reasonably fast in this game, but the problem is once you have something in your sights that you want to buy, it tends to be pretty expensive. So right now I have close to 10 grand. There's a quest later on down the line, which you can either use violence to get what you want, or you can pay 50,000 gold. And by that point in the game, 50,000 gold is practically unreachable. But, I mean, there's no real hurry to get the item. But if you really wanted to, you could... Actually, I wonder if you can even pickpocket it from the orc who has it. But otherwise, you could just take over Trellis and then you'd have it. One thing I did kind of notice, I think they changed it in Gothic 3 with the content mod or something like that. That if you attack the leader of a city, whoever is defined as a leader, if you were to attack him and knock him down, you cannot actually knock him down. You can't just knock him unconscious and, you know, rob him and stuff. Because as soon as you deal the final blow, he instantly dies. You know, you don't have to impale him on the ground like you do with everybody else who's not hostile. And that, of course, is a huge problem because that immediately sets the city in revolt. Excuse me, immediately sets the city in revolt. So, yeah, you can't just can't just use brute force to get what you want from the city leaders. Because I tried to. I wanted to in the village of Lago in the desert. I wanted to get the key from the leader to open his prison. And I couldn't do it because as soon as I beat him down, he just died, and then the whole city attacked me. And so the only way I could get into the thing was to conquer the city, basically. And that's actually a huge problem because there is a quest for the Hashishin where you need to get into that jail cell and kill the inhabitant. And the only way you can get in is to take over the city, so that obviously will get you in trouble with the Hashishin, so it's just kind of fucked. They didn't really work it out the way they should have.
Stop right there. Not a step further.
Calm down. I'm not out to get you.
By Enos, I almost took you for one of those wretched orc mercenaries.
Aren't you afraid the orcs might get you?
Orcs are careless and noisy when they roam the woods. I can hear them half a mile away. The only plague that is getting to me is those horrible goblins.
You are more afraid of goblins than of orcs?
Scared? I am not scared at all. The goblins will creep around the camp at night and steal everything I've got. There must be a whole nest of those cowardly goblins somewhere close by.
What will you pay me to get rid of the goblins?
You mean so I wouldn't have to keep an eye on my things all the time? I guess that would be worth 100 gold coins to me.
I will do away with those cowardly goblins for you.
Well, have fun then. Goblins are awfully nimble little bastards. Don't let them
So
surround
I've
you,
noticed.
or you're done for.
Interested in a little trade?
Depends on what you have, really.
Tell me about the area here.
You are in the wilderness here. No cities anywhere. That mountain range to the north separates the coastal region from the Midlands. Keep following the path to the west, and you'll eventually get to Montera. Provided the bandits don't cut your throat first, that is.
Show me your goods.
Alright, and he's got the hunter's clothes. Which I think is just kind of a... Is that the leather armor? I can't really remember. He also has some really good bows. So look into those if you're trying to get some bows. Here's the recipe for sharp arrows, which is interesting because as far as I know, in order to make those you need saber-tooth teeth. Saber-tooth fangs, which you can only get in Nordmar. Sounds like there's a fight going on. Maybe not. Alright, so the goblins are actually pretty annoying. If you wanted to, you could actually get Copper to follow you all this way. He could definitely help you out with some of this stuff, but I just didn't feel like wasting my time. The biggest problem with the goblins is that it's easy to get all their attentions at once. There's actually a very glitchy problem with pretty much any enemy in a cave. So they have a high tendency to actually just come out of the walls. I'm not really sure how they do it, but they can actually walk through the walls. And we might see that happen here. Fighting a lot of goblins at once is really not ideal. Ow! If you don't... What's interesting, if you don't have your bow at full draw when you fire, you know, it obviously does less damage, but it also will not cause your target to flinch the way it normally does. So they can actually walk through it, and basically that's kind of the trade-off. If you don't have a full powered hit, you won't slow down your enemy at all. So if you're kind of firing in a hurry, it may not actually serve you at all, apart from the very minor damage. That was weird. It sounded like it hit the wall. Ow! See, that was worth it because he was almost dead already. Alright, this could be trouble. Wow, that worked very well. See, staves are very good against enemies who are extremely aggressive. Humans, not so much. Now, it's another place where you definitely want to have the upgraded lockpicking skill. Basically, you pretty much need it from the start. You want it as soon as possible, because you're going to start running into more difficult chests almost from the beginning. Oh, whoa, what's this now? Dead fire mage. Huh, that's new. New as in, I just don't really remember it. Definitely something added by the content mod, but I really don't remember that. Are they still coming? Yeah. Whoosh. Oh, wow, it got me. Fucker. Ah, bugger. Nope. Fuck off. That's right. Goblins, as usual, don't really have much to loot. That guy did have books. That was interesting. So, history on the Orc Wars. Could be an interesting read, but I wonder if there's a real significance to this guy here, if he's part of a quest or something. Somehow I doubt it. I really have 2 raw meats. Nothing too fancy in there. Now, it's a fog spell. I've never really used it much, so I don't really know how well it works. I feel like some enemies will actually be able to see through it. Here's a metal chest. Contains a mana ring. That could help us. Another metal chest.
Broken.
Bugger.
Broken.
Bugger twice. Get some blade corals, another arrow protection ring, and this open locks would normally be a very useful spell. It's very useful to people who just don't have high lockpicking skills. But the problem is, with the content mod, or maybe one of the community patches, I don't really remember, they drastically increased how much mana it requires. So you cannot use it just with base mana anymore. You now need 180, so it's kind of a pain in the ass. Since we are going a magic route, it'll probably still be useful to us in the end. Since we have the second lockpicking level, and there aren't too many chests that really have the most difficult lock, but those are definitely the most valuable. So if we get our mana up to a sizable level, those scrolls will become very valuable to us.
I'm going to take a break.
You do that.
I finished off those cowardly goblins.
And the bastards didn't skin you alive? I'll be. You've got what it takes, my friend. This is certainly worth 100 gold coins.
Good. And he also will now teach us hunting skills, which I do not need. He's a very angry boy. And once again, I don't think these guys will actually help in the fight. Oh, they just didn't notice. Oh well. No big deal. Having a bow will always be useful in this game. It's much more useful than it was in the previous games because there's no longer a dice roll chance of you hitting anything. You're guaranteed to hit it. It's just a matter of... the skill pretty much just influences damage and range now. So if you know what you're doing, you really don't need to upgrade your skill at all. I probably won't be able to shoot through this branch. Yeah, that's just annoying. Alright, you bugger. And whoosh! Too predictable. Alright, there's gonna be a lot of beasties along the way here. Nothing tremendously dangerous. Actually, if you go up along this ridge here, you can actually get up there, and there's a lot of much more dangerous enemies up there. I think there's a lot of shadow beasts, actually. Shadow beasts are far less intimidating in this game, but they are still dangerous at low levels. They also just look really lame. I don't know why they came up with that really boring design for them. There's a chest, not chest, a cave up ahead with a whole bunch of them in there. I think there's a quite valuable chest inside of it. At this hour of the day, they'll probably all be sleeping, so since we have the sneak on animal skill, it might be possible for us to actually sneak past them while they're asleep. Alright, well, that could have worked out better, but could also have worked out worse. What's interesting is that a lot of people are complaining that that Risen 2 and now Risen 3 won't have a fixed camera behind the player. Which, you know, that was kind of it was what we had in the first two Gothics and what we now had in Risen. But what's interesting is Gothic 3 really has kind of a hybrid thing. You can actually attack in any direction without moving the camera. But once you start moving, it once again locks behind the player. It's kind of weird how it worked out that way. It is useful, though. Hares always have meat on them, so it's very helpful. Once again, deer only have venison, so that's not nearly as useful, since it takes way too many ingredients to cook it. Why am I sliding so much? Oh my god, the lag! I haven't saved in a while. I need to be a bit less foolhardy. Oh, there's more than one goblin. God damn it. Waboosh! You fucker. Yeah, that's right. Fuck off. Not today. All these cudgels aren't really worth much. Alright, gonna save.